Simona Fulton, the latest word we're getting out of Juba is that there were calls for immediate ceasefires by both Salva Kiir and his Vice President Riek Machar, the two rivals there. And it sounds as though they're being ignored. How much of a handle do they have on the situation?
Well, that is indeed a very good question. I think we've seen it throughout the conflict, which has lasted over 2 years now, that on both sides you have very unruly armies, which consist of commanders which have their own goals and objectives. Some of them are more hardliners than President Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar. So it's very difficult for these two men to really make sure that their orders are implemented by their troops. And these are armies that are not very well trained. They have a lot of long-lasting grievances and distrust towards the other group. So they're very, very difficult to control.
Very difficult to control. How do you explain the fact that we've had this resurgence of violence now?
Well, it's something that a lot of people have seen coming for a while in Juba. Back in April, when we had the return of the first Vice President Riek Machar to Juba alongside his forces, which was part of the peace deal that was signed in August, many people were worried that the presence of these two forces in the capital could spark renewed fighting. And this is exactly how the conflict started back in December. We had this fallout between forces loyal to President Kiir and forces loyal to Vice President Riek Machar in December within the Presidential Guard. And this is in the end what sparked the entire conflict. So there was a lot of concern that bringing Machar's forces back and having these two antagonistic forces who are poorly trained, who don't trust each other back in the capital, that it was really just a question of time until something broke loose.
Really a question of time, and we saw that there was this joint press conference with the two leaders at the end of last week, and one person who wasn't there was the Chief of General Staff to Salva Kiir, Paul Malong. He is the former governor of northern Bahr el Ghazal state. He didn't attend, and many people are wondering if the regional leaders that are below the two top guys just want to keep on fighting.
Well, and this is a very good question you raise, and many will in fact question whether the chief of the army, Paul Malong, is in fact below Salva Kiir, or whether he's in the end the one who is calling the shots. This is a general who is extremely powerful, who is responsible for orchestrating much of the civil war in South Sudan, and who is considered one of the hardliners. I mean, if we go back to August, when President Salva Kiir didn't sign the agreement in Addis Ababa because he had to go back to Juba to consult with some of the people in his government and the army, Paul Malong was seen as one of the main people who was opposed to this peace deal. And I've spoken to a member of the opposition today in Juba, and he in fact said that he believes that even if the president is well-intentioned to stop the fighting, that there are hardline elements, such as Paul Malong, who may not be inclined to put an end to this.